Welcome to Module 6 of Applying Thoughts. In this module, we will talk about generating options, which is step number 2 of creative problem solving model. In session 6, we will discuss what is divergent thinking, the tools of brainstorming and Osborne checklist, and how can these two tools of divergent thinking help us develop multiple creative options. We will also discuss the 4 principles of divergent thinking. Let's discuss the case study first. I'm sure all of you would have done the last question in the previous module where I had asked you to create a fishbone analysis based on all the information that you had available with you regarding the thrust shoes case study. So Rajni and her team created a list of possible causes of the problem from the pool of information she gathered by speaking to various people. So in the next slide, I will show you a fishbone analysis which as per the understanding Rajni had created. Now there is a possibility that your fishbone analysis may have some extra information. It may have some information which it may not have, and the fishbone analysis on the slide may have that, which is absolutely fine because this is something that you're doing in your individual capacity. What you see on the screen is Rajni's cause and effect, the fishbone diagram. And you can see there are 4 categories: people, products, process and equipment that she has covered. And if you look at this entire diagram very carefully, you will see that there are multiple possibilities, and based on this analysis she comes out. Now based on the fishbone analysis that we just discussed and saw, she came up with 2 possible problems. One is the poorly laid out cramped packing area, and the second is lack of training for the packers. Now with these 2 possible problems, let's understand divergent thinking and the tools of idea development and see how can we help Rajni in creating more possible solutions in solving these 2 problems that she has identified as the root cause of the major problem that she's dealing with of 2 right and 2 left shoes going to clients. So let's quickly review our creative problem solving model once again. So in the previous 2 modules, we have understood clarifying the problem, where we worked on designing a problem definition, and then we went on to understand tools like 5-why and fishbone to conduct root cause analysis. Now we're going to move to step number 2, which is generate ideas. Creative problem solving model works around what we call the engine of creativity, which is a combination of 2 thinking styles: divergent thinking and convergent thinking. Now divergent thinking, as you can see in the diagram on the screen, expands away from original idea. Now we are going for quantity. We are looking for as many ideas as possible. There is no judgment, there is no right or wrong idea. Every idea is welcome. The second stage is where we converge all the multitude of ideas that we have created, and using a decision criteria, identify which one of these ideas is feasible and practical for us. So step number 2 of creative problem solving involves generating ideas, which is primarily divergent thinking. And in this module we will talk about divergent thinking, and in the next module we will talk about convergent thinking. So in step number 2 and 3, as you can see on your screen, 2 being divergent thinking and 3 being convergent thinking, we are looking at exploring different perspectives, scenarios and options. That's what we do in generating ideas in step number 2. Align with decision making criteria. This is where finding solution, or step number 3, which is convergent thinking, starts coming into action. And that's where the third step comes in, identifying the most feasible solution. That's where the tools in convergent thinking, which are being applied while we are aligning decision making criteria, further help us to identify the most feasible solution for us, which can help us solve our problem. Now we come to exercise number 12. Here I would like you to watch a fun video. This is an excerpt from the famous television program called The Big Bang Theory, where a group of friends are assessing different options to solve a problem. Not just the problem, but even the kind of seriousness with which they're trying to resolve it is funny itself. And I hope you will enjoy it. The link for this video is given in the document Module Wise Exercises. Now while you're watching this video, consider the following ideas. Make note of the techniques they used to reach their decision. How did they develop the options, and what criteria did they use? Make note of the techniques they used to reach their decision. How did they develop options? What criteria did they use? While watching the video, try to answer these 3 questions and observe them very carefully. Enjoy the video. The best way to have a good idea is to have lots of ideas. And this is the thought around which divergent thinking works. Divergent thinking is primarily the place in creative problem solving where we come up with multitude of ideas. Now it has 4 basic principles which we should follow in order to come up with an innovative idea. Number 1 is suspend judgment. What that means is at any point in time, no idea which is being shared in the group will be judged or evaluated. All the ideas, whether they're relevant, they're irrelevant, whether they make sense to you, whether they don't make sense to you, coming from anyone in the group are most welcome. You go for quantity. Remember the quote? In order to have a good idea, we need to have lots of ideas. And that's the motto of divergent thinking. So we go for quantity. We are not looking for the quality solutions right now. We are looking for as many as possible. And when we will discuss the 2 tools for divergent thinking, I will further explain this point for you to understand exactly how do we build the quantity. The third step is make connections, and that's what one of the tools called Osborne checklist is all about. You make connections between multiple causes, between multiple domains. You don't stick to only one domain. You don't stick to only one area. You don't stick to only your area of knowledge. You can combine multiple ideas. You can go besides your domain and try to correlate things which in natural scenario or circumstance you may not usually. Primarily what we are talking about is going out of the box or thinking out of the box. And last but not the least, seek novelty. The purpose of using divergent thinking is to come up with an idea or a solution which has never been used before, something which is new or something which has some new quality to it. Therefore, this becomes very important, and a conscious effort should be there that we don't fall back on the methods and ideas we have used in the past. Remember, these are complex and complicated problems. What worked in the past may not work in the current scenario. And if you have defined the problem clearly, you conducted your root cause analysis, being able to look for new ideas becomes all the more important to make sure that in the future you have more ideas and concepts to work around. So divergent thinking tools. There are multiple tools of divergent thinking, but for the sake of this training, we'll be covering 2. One is the classic brainstorming, which a lot of you would have experienced in the course of your career. The second is called Osborne checklist. Now, Osborne checklist is primarily combining either through substitution or through combining or through adaptation by magnifying, modifying, put to another use, eliminate, rearrange, or reverse. So we also call it scamper, another technique, name it is popular by. So what you do is you use any one of these techniques, use multiple ideas, multiple co-locations, and try to come up with something which has not been done before. So for this training, what we will practice is brainstorming. Now let's understand what is brainstorming. Brainstorming is a group activity technique by which a group tries to find a solution for a specific problem by gathering a list of ideas spontaneously contributed by its members. Now this is something which I would really want you to understand, that brainstorming is done effectively when you sit with your entire team or multiple group of people. And if you can have people from different domains or different departments join you in your brainstorming, that makes the possibility of innovative ideas much more. In your handbooks also there is a detailed write-up upon brainstorming. Please go through and read that. It will help you understand the process of brainstorming in more detail. Now brainstorming, while it sounds very simple, calling people in a room and then start brainstorming and coming up with multiple ideas, but it has a certain do's and don'ts that we have to follow. And all of us must have gone through those brainstorming scenarios where we were just sitting there and wondering where exactly are the new ideas. So we're going to talk about certain challenges that we face during brainstorming and how can those be overcome. Now the do's of brainstorming is give wild and unusual ideas. That's a very important thing to remember. As a moderator, you can at the beginning of the brainstorming session Share with the problem statement with the people and add that all ideas are welcome, none will be judged. You don't have to fall into the purview of what is being done till now. You can think of something which has not been done before. A lot of times people are hesitant of sharing a new idea, thinking they might be judged, and what if it fails, and who will take the responsibility, and people will laugh at me, or I will be criticized, or maybe they will think I'm trying to show off. So these are certain mindsets that if you're moderating a brainstorming session, you should be sensitive towards. So explaining these do's at the beginning of the brainstorming session, and by showing them in your behavior, demonstrating them, it makes it more easy for others to follow it. The second thing you should keep in mind is aim for quantity. Now, one of the techniques that I can share with you is give people a specific number of ideas they need to come up within a specific time limit. Now, if you want to make sure that these ideas are unusual, creative, as you can see, build on ideas of others, they encourage participation, there is no criticism, and people one or two people are trying to dominate the entire discussion, then the best way to work around this is by giving them a limited time period and asking them more number of ideas than they deem possible. What it does is it will push them to write every idea that comes in their mind or that comes through the group on the paper. This is very important from two reasons. One, it will make sure that all the ideas are covered and everybody's voice is heard. And second, it gives all the more ideas to work on, all the more possibilities of collaborating and combining multiple ideas, modifying multiple ideas to come up with something innovative. Now, a few other things that I like to add to the do's and don'ts list is, number one, do not criticize, evaluate, judge, or discuss any idea at this stage. At this stage, people should be only asked to share what they think and how they think can this problem be resolved. All their questions should be answered by you, but it should be very clear that they cannot tell anyone that your idea is not good or this is not feasible. This is not a stage where we are looking at feasibility. The other thing you have to keep in mind is there are times when there will be some people who will dominate the entire group. There will be some people who are very shy and may not like to speak in front of others. Now this is where the definition of creativity, if you remember from the first module, becomes extremely important. Please do not think if people are not participating, they are not creative or they do not have ideas. You need to understand that you have to create or facilitate the process so that they can come up with their ideas or share their ideas. One of the ways you can solve both these problems of either people dominating or some people being too shy is using post-it notes. So instead of verbally sharing their ideas, you can ask all the participants to take post-it notes and write down their main ideas, their individual ideas on one post-it each. And you give them around 10 minutes or 15 minutes to do that after you've explained them the problem definition. And you make sure that they've understood it properly. Now, what this does is that everyone gets an opportunity to pen down their ideas. And after this, you can ask them all to put those ideas on a board and discuss them one by one. But at that stage, there is a very open area where everyone in their domain of safety is able to share. And you are able to get multiple ideas from different people. Let's do exercise 13. It's going to be a little fun exercise. So this exercise is, as you can see on your screen, a bathtub. How to improve the bathtub? Well, like all the other exercises, the details for this exercise are also given in the document titled Module Wise Exercise. Now what you need to do in this is that you have 3 minutes to come up with as many ideas as possible to modify and improve this bathtub, right? So let's say you need to come up with 30 ideas in 3 minutes. So after listening to the instructions, pause this video for 3 minutes and then complete this activity and then come back and we will discuss this further. Remember, don't judge and welcome the fun and quirky ideas too. I will really recommend doing this idea with a group of other participants or your friends or somebody you can discuss with. But if you are alone and you do not have a possibility of discussing with anyone else, you can do it alone, or you can connect with other people through a call or meet them, or maybe do this exercise a little later when you are surrounded by other people. So I will recommend those who are participants in this workshop to do this exercise together. 3 minutes, 30 ideas. Pause this video and start making ideas. So all you have to do is improve the bathtub. Make this is a very basic bathtub, make it something special. I hope you enjoyed doing the activity. So how many ideas did you get? Was it easy to let go of the judgment? So now we come to exercise number 14. This is regarding the case study, the thrust shoes. Now there is a new issue. Rajni gets a call from Raghav and he says that the problem needs to be rectified within the coming quarter and he doesn't have additional budget. So if she's planning, if you remember the two problems she had identified, one was the packaging area and second was the training of the employees. But here she gets a diktat that they don't have any extra budget to spend and he wants 100% customer satisfaction with 0 defects. So the vision is extremely clear. With a big contract in hand, we have additional pressure on the employees. So there's a possibility of a big contract, which has further added the pressure on people and further added to the challenges of Rajni that she is to work in the limited budget and come up with 100% customer satisfaction with 0 defects. Now with the new deadline and a huge order at stake, Rajni needs to find a solution fast. And this is where you come in. Use the divergent thinking tools of brainstorming or Osborne checklist and help Rajni find at least 3 solutions. Again, at this stage, I will recommend doing this exercise with a small group. I'll recommend some of the participants to form certain groups. You can do it online in case you are at distant locations. But please do conduct this exercise, if possible, as a small group that will help you come up with multiple ideas. But do complete this activity. It's extremely critical. Now let's move on to exercise number 15, which is the real life scenario. So if you remember last time when I introduced this activity, I told you that this is an activity around which you will have to submit an assignment. So please make sure that you complete this activity carefully. So what you need to do is use the various tools learned in the module 5 and define the problem statement for the real scenario. So now this is where you will be combining module 5 and 6 together. So whatever tools that you've learned in module 5 to define the problems, use them, and whatever tools you've learned in module 6 to come up with multiple ideas, please use them. So what you need to do is, at this stage for exercise number 15, have a problem statement clearly defined and use divergent thinking techniques of module 6 to techniques that you've learned to develop 3 options for this scenario. At least 3 options. Of course, you can have more than this, more than 3 as well. And for each of the options that you will come up with for your problem, real life scenario that you've identified, give each option a title. That what is it? Is it about what category will it fall in? And a brief description and outline. That is the pros and cons. So for every solution that you've identified, also write down what are the benefits of it and what are the limitations of it. So now at this stage, at exercise 15, to summarize it, there will be 3 things that you will have to do. Number 1, create a problem statement. Number 2, conduct a root cause analysis. Number 3, develop 3 options for this scenario, 3 solution options at least for this scenario, and conduct a pros and cons analysis for these 3 scenarios. I hope the question is clear. This brings us to the quiz of module 6. Now the quiz of module 6, again the link is given in the description box, and I will request you to go and complete this quiz, and in case you find any issue or problem in completing the quiz, go back to the video, watch the information, and after that, once you are ready and clear and confident that you've understood the entire process of divergent thinking, move to the next module. Now the next module is about convergent thinking. So I will recommend spend enough time on divergent thinking, because if you're not clear about this, understanding convergent thinking might become a little challenge.